welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be all about Sydney Grace. So I purchased a few things from them not too long ago, their new face palette, as well as one of their new multi-chromes. So I'm gonna be testing that out, trying it out with you on camera together. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't yet, and with all that, let's get started talking about the details of these items. Okay, so I haven't even unpackaged this yet. I have been meaning for a while to order the shade Honeydew from them. I have the palette here. This is Mels Bundle. It was supposed to be kind of her version of the retro palette. Natasha Denona came out with the retro glam, and I was missing a shade. When I went to purchase all the shades, I had about half of them, so I didn't buy the bundle as a whole. I just bought them all as singles, but one of them was out of stock. So for a while now, I've been meaning to purchase it. And then when I saw that they came out with face palettes as well as multi-chromes, I was like, okay, now I'm going to purchase that one shade. Also, just pick up these two items. So that's what we're gonna do today. Here is Honeydew. So let me just take this out first, and I'm gonna complete that palette. I opted to just go for this Color Story over the Natasha Denona just because, one, I mean, Natasha Denona was a little bit more expensive, and two, I just kind of liked this Color Story better. It seemed a little bit less redundant, but this is the shade I needed, Honeydew, and that really just pulls the palette together with those greens and pinks. So I haven't used this yet because I've just been waiting and waiting for that shade. And then I picked up only one of the multi-chromes. So they just released their multi-chromes. They retail for $15, and I picked up the shade Ripple Effect. So here's what it looks like, kind of shifty here. And I'll insert in a swatch photo. I guess it's kind of cheating because I'm going to use this as like the main shadow with the retro palette here. So it won't purely be the retro palette, but I still want to test out these shades with it. And then for the face palette, here's what it looks like. This comes with a highlight, 2 blushes, and a bronzer. The perfect face palette for me. It has all 3 items. Now, Sydney Grace does come with 3 color stories of this, a light, a medium, and a deep. I picked up light because I am light. Here's kind of what it looks like. Here's the highlight, 2 blushes, and the bronzer. So I think that I'll probably end up mixing the blushes, but for now we'll start with blush and apply 1 to each cheek. This palette retails for $28, which I think is a really great price point for a face palette, not too expensive. So I'm just gonna go in. Let's first go in with Love Struck. That's this more brighter pink, and I'll put that on the right cheek. I want to just start with blush because I feel like it'll be easier to see the true color before applying bronzer. I'm just going to see how pigmented this is. It's actually pretty pigmented. I'm not going to scoot you in because I don't think I need to. This is much more pink than I was kind of expecting. I probably should have gone in with the lighter one since I was going to use the same brush, but I can use a different brush, it's fine. It does have a slight sheen to it. I wouldn't say this is a matte blush, whereas Sweet Pea, it does look like that is more matte. So here's what Love Struck is looking like. Let's go in with Sweet Pea. Going in with a more clean brush. It's picking up, this was a clean brush, and it's actually picking up much more pink than it shows in pan. Like this looks very soft. Looks very bright, but just give it a shot. Okay. This does not translate at all like how it looks in pan. It's still very subtle. It's still very matte. This was a clean brush. I'm not crazy here. And it's even, I guess I did more because I was expecting it to be lighter, but it's pretty pigmented compared to Love Struck. And it's still Still kind of looks like it has a sheen to it. I did already obviously do foundation and brows before I started this video. I am wearing the Maybelline Superstay Skin Tint. I did a review video on this. I can link it above. I've really been enjoying this foundation so far. Just testing it out more because that was a first impression and getting more of my thoughts. But I've been really liking that. And I don't want to go too crazy with this, but I'm just really surprised. These are both natural hair brushes, so they shouldn't be too different as far as picking up product, but I don't see that much of a difference. Let me maybe put my glasses on and see. Yeah, I don't see that much of a difference in color, even though in pan these look very different. And I'll of course throw up my swatch pic of the 4 shades. They're both very bright and pink. I don't hate them. This is just a little bit more matte, like it has more of a little bit of a satin sheen, but this is definitely more of a satin. I'm not sure. They're bright, they're nice. I'm gonna just mix the two just so I can kind of get an even application, but I don't think you could even really tell, at least to me in person. I don't know if on camera it's looking different. It is pigmented though. I am not like a heavy blush person, and I'm feeling like this is a lot. Hopefully it kind of tones down. Let's put some bronzer on. I think I'm looking a little crazy. All right. I couldn't help myself. I took my powder brush and kind of just powdered on top of the blush because it was looking like too much for me. But now let's go into bronzer. So this one's called Starlight, and it does look just like Sweet Pea here, where it's more of a matte finish, but let's just try. I was a little hesitant about this because this bronzer looks like it pulls pretty warm, and I typically prefer more of like a neutral or even a cool tone bronzer. I decided for $28, like I'd give it a shot. And maybe, I'm sure like Sydney Grace also sells singles of their face products, so I could maybe even pop it out and switch it out with one that I liked better if I really had to and it came down to that. With the blush, it's not looking too warm though. Do the forehead a little bit. It's lighter than I was expecting, but this is also the light palette, not the medium. It's okay. I mean, here's what it is. Obviously, like the blush and bronzer kind of going into each other. It's not my favorite bronzer color. It's not one that I wouldn't use. If I was to pull this palette out, I would use it just for ease. I don't hate it so much where I would pull out a separate bronzer to use with this palette if I wanted to use the blush and the highlight. But it is not necessarily my preference. Maybe more towards the summer, I'll appreciate it more because it'll be a little bit warmer, but I don't think it looks terrible. Here's the bronzer. Last up is highlight. This is called Day Glow. And from pan, I'm not expecting this to be too blinding. I haven't tried any of Sydney Grace's face products, by the way. I've only tried their shadows. So this is kind of like a first impression on how their face products are. But yeah, this is just like I suspected. It's not too blinding, which is nice. I think that a lot of people aren't wanting a super blinding highlight. It really just pulls all the complexion products together really nicely, actually. Like it kind of just has like a nice fade from highlight, blush, bronzer. I think that they picked really nice tones for this. I'm gonna go down my nose, just do like a little on the forehead, a little bit here. I will also say that even though I really like this foundation, I think it's pore blurring, these complexion products are really blurring my pores. They're very smoothing on the skin. It doesn't look like it's sinking into my skin. It's not emphasizing any of my pores. So I think it looks really nice, at least with this foundation. I don't know if it works well with all foundations, but now that I have all of them on, like, I can't stop looking at it. I really like it. That is the face palette though. Let's now go into this eyeshadow. I'm just gonna do a really quick look. Mostly I want to test out the Multichrome. This is less about the retro palette. I just haven't used it yet, so I wanted to also get some use. And I think, I haven't seen my swatch photo yet, so it does kind of look sheer, almost like a topper. You've already seen my swatch photo, I haven't seen it. But it kind of goes blue, green, purple. I didn't know if it was going to go with this shadow look, but I might still do the greens. I'm going to just wing this eyeshadow look. I'm not sure just yet. I don't feel like flipping over the names every time I apply this, so I'll just be inserting in the shadow names as I use them. But let's get started. So I'm going to go in kind of like this mid-tone peachy shade. And first I just like to mark my crease because I have slightly hooded eyes, and I've noticed that I don't look straight on, and because of that I can kind of miss where my crease is. So I do that first and almost just use it as a marker, and then I'll go in more with other shades now that I know like how high to go. So now I'm just gonna go in and define the crease more. And this is a rougher 14 brush. I've also just been trying to go in with smaller brushes too. I've been really trying to up my eyeshadow game because I don't feel like eyeshadow is my strong suit, especially when I am seeing impaired. I'm gonna kind of just apply this everywhere. I'm gonna keep this pretty simple, I think. I do want to pull in the green, and I think I kind of want to use the Multichrome almost as a topper, and we'll just go in with the matte shades in this bundle for the retro. Now that I have this blended out, I'm gonna go into Honeydew. I know the shade of that one because that's the newest, and I almost kind of want to put this all over the lid just to have a base for that Multichrome. So we're gonna do that. And then once I have this, I am just gonna deepen up the outer corner with like a brown so it's a little less green, but I'm gonna take the same brush. Still working up to using color every day and not shying away from it. So I still need to pull in a brown. Before I go in with the Multichrome, I'm just gonna do the lower lash line. I'm gonna mix together the crease shade and the brown shade. This just kind of helps me see like the final vision. I might add some green to the lower lash line, but first I want to do the Multichrome, see where that takes me. So I'm going to use a flat shader brush. I'm not going to use a glitter glue. If I need to, if there's fallout, I'll use it on this eye, but let me just see how it works without. It's really pretty. Okay, so I'm just going to apply this on top, all over. And I'm hoping that it brings the peach kind of in with the green. Can you see it? This is so beautiful. I'm gonna go back in with that brown a little, back in the outer corner. But this Multichrome, at least over this green, is so beautiful. I don't think I'll be able to do it justice on the camera, but wow. Now that I've deepened up the outer corner just a little bit more, I think I am gonna add some green to the lower lash line. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Why not? I can always take it off if it doesn't look good. This is kind of like a shimmery green with gold flecks. And I might just, I don't know, mix it with the brown. Maybe I should have used like a brown green. I should have used like a dark khaki color instead of like a shimmer, but it's okay with the brown. It kind of mixed together. And now I'm going to go in with like this white sparkly shade. I think it shifts to green. And I'm going to just apply that in my inner corner here. Bring that in. And there we go. Yeah, so kind of has like a green flip to it. And here is the eye look using the new Ripple Effect Multichrome. I'm gonna do the other eye off of camera, apply liner and mascara, and then I will be back to just kind of talk about my first impression thoughts on all these products. Here are both eyes complete with mascara, and I think this looks really pretty. Outside my comfort zone for sure. I don't know if I'm digging like the inner corner, but that's okay. Makeup's for testing. I think it probably looks okay, but it's different for me. I like this multichrome a lot. Let's just start with the multichrome. I'm interested to see just using it with different bases because of course I used it with the green with the kind of retro inspired palette, but really like on the brush, it has more of like a blue purple shift to it. So I'm just interested to see with blues and purples how it really just changes the shadow here. But just to, let me put it right side up, just to talk about it again. So here's Ripple Effect. I used Honeydew all over the lid as like a base for this, and that's why it's just pulling so green. And then in the inner corner, it's making it look even more green because I used this. So this is Green Mist. It's like one of those white with a color shift, and it's a green color flip. So that's why it's just pulling so green, which I don't mind. I just don't know if this is like the best complementary color story for this specific multichrome, but I wanted to try it out, use it, get some love out of it because I haven't yet. Still happy that I did. I don't 100% hate the look. I just think we could do better. Now for the face palette here, this is really cute. And for the price, like I don't think you can go wrong with this. It's great quality. Like it's not luxe quality, but it's really nice quality for what it is for $28. I do think that, you know, the blushes look really similar on, and maybe my brush was dirty and I missed it. That was like an oversight, but it looked clean to me when I grabbed it. So these look really just alike on the face other than this kind of having like a satin finish and this having a matte finish. I don't know, they look different on my finger here. I'm sure they look different on the swatch. I did get some fallout. They're a little bit powdery, but on the face, they didn't look too different. So interested to see how that works. Bronzer is probably my least favorite out of everything that I tried, but that doesn't have anything to do with the performance of the bronzer, just more of a tone preference for me. And I actually really liked the highlight. I think it was the perfect highlight to pull it all together. Like I said, I think that it's very bright. Obviously, you can see it with like the studio light shining off of it, but in person, it's much more subtle and it really brings it all together. I'm liking all of this. Sydney Grace has excellent quality. We already know that. This is no exception to that. And overall, I'm just really happy that I picked this up. I mean, this launched the same day or maybe even the day before than the Pat McGrath bronzers. And I received this like a few days ago, and I have yet to even know where my Pat McGrath bronzer is. So even shipping time is better than some other just mainstream luxury brands. I think this is gorgeous. If you haven't tried Sydney Grace, if you're interested in Sydney Grace, I do recommend them. I had yet to try face products, so definitely give this the green light. And their shadows, of course, I mean, I have so many Sydney Grace single shadows. It's honestly ridiculous. I need to start getting some use out of them, but they are excellent quality. I really love how on their Instagram, they're always putting color stories together. That's really helpful for me as someone who maybe doesn't see color stories all the time, like cohesively. It helps than just having like a bunch of singles just there in a Z palette. Like having color stories like this is very beneficial to me. I might pick up some of their other multichromes. I only wanted to start with one. While like $15 isn't that expensive for a multichrome, relatively, like it's still expensive for a single shadow. So I think like next time they have a sale or if their multi-chromes go on any kind of discount, I might pick up a few more because I think that they're great. Now, if you're used to multi-chromes, I don't know if these are gonna wow you based on just this one shade. I think that this is a good multi-chrome for someone who is like me and like dipping their toes into multi-chromes. This might be like, I know actually for sure this is like my first multi-chrome single purchase. I might have a multi-chrome in like a palette or something, but I know for sure that this is the first multi-chrome that I've purchased as a single. So if you're dipping your toes into a multi-chrome, I think that you'll like this. If you already have just like 20, 50 multi-chrome singles, I don't know if this will be the most wowing multi-chrome. This is definitely more of like a toned down, simple topper multi-chrome if I had to guess. So those are just my thoughts on some of the new Sydney Grace products. Let me know down below if you picked any of these up, if you're interested in them, what your thoughts are, all that good stuff. But this is where I'm gonna leave you all. I hope you're having a great day and I will see you all in my next video. Bye everyone.